back to Simply Forex, the place where we do a deep dive into the Forex pairs, take a deep analysis into them, and we're going to look for trades and trade ideas, and I'm going to share the trades that I am in as well. If that's not enough, we're also going to take a look at all of your questions today, guys. So I'm with you for 45 minutes, so please ask as many bloody questions as you like, and we will endeavor, I will endeavor to answer them all. All right, so analysis, trade ideas, trades I've already taken, and your questions. And we're also going to look at market reaction to news. So if we just take a quick look at the calendar, you can see, guys, that we have got at hour. Again, someone please remind me, because when I start chatting, there's no stopping. We have retail sales coming out of the US. All right. And we know the US dollar has been a tricky currency, right? It's been difficult to trade. It's been really whipsawing. So we need some news that's going to give it some direction. So let's see what this does, guys, right? So hour, we have this coming out. And it's been quite a big news day, guys, really. We've had all of this news coming out of China, right? And this was all predominantly bullish for China. So because of the trading relations between China and Australia, this will make Aussie dollar strong. All right? It's important you understand these correlations, guys. So I just wanted to point that out. And then also with pound and euro, we had some CPI. We had some inflation figures, but they were all pretty much as expected. I know with the pound, guys, we had 0.4, 0.3, 2.7, 2.6, but they are not big misses, right? So they're, about as expected. And then for the euro, they were as expected. And we haven't seen any big moves with pound or euro on the back of that. But yes, US dollar news at hour. Let's go back to the charts, and I am going to show you a trade that I have already taken profit on, and I'll show you exactly how and why I entered. And I'm going to show you a trade that I am currently in as well, right? So let's start there. And then I'll go to the live chat and say hello and get all of your questions, guys. All right. That is the plan. We don't normally have a plan, to be honest with you. The best plan's no plan when it comes to our live streams, but we've got a plan. Let's start with Euro Swiss franc. And this was a trade that I took, and I was buying Euro Swiss franc. Now, you're probably thinking, why on God's earth were you buying Euro Swiss franc? This is in a downtrend. And that is a fair question. But so let me explain why, guys, right? So as we know, right, Euro Swiss franc, let's go to the weekly chart, actually, so we can see this more clearly. As you know, right, flight to safety pairs, because of Trump and his tariffs, have been very strong. Right, so Swiss franc and yen have been super strong. There's not a day goes by where I do not mention Trump's tariffs. I am done with them already, but I fear they are here to stay, and we could be talking about them for at least a year. But Trump's tariffs aside, technically I like this trade, right? So we was in a downtrend, but once price comes down to this level, things are a little bit overextended down here. And we know it's a very important weekly support level, right? So overextended and at a support level, I am willing to go against trend, right? But I need a few more pieces of confluence in order to do that, right? So let's go down to the day chart now. And as you can see, right, since price has got down to this level, it's been stuttering, right? It's hit this level, massive push up, sellers come back down. Push up, sellers take it back down. But again, yesterday we had another bullish candle at this level, right? And I'm just looking to buy it off the back of that. Okay, so overextended at a support level, nice bullish daily candle. Okay. But again, I need more things to set up before I can take the trade, right? So we drop down to the H4. Once price gets down to this level, I want to see a H4 structure break, right? And we've already had one, right? This was a structure break, right? Higher highs. And then price came down. It never broke these lows, right? And then we've kind of had a mini break here as well. We've broken this high. We were then getting higher highs again, right? But at no point have we broken this low, right? It's holding. So on the H4 today, basically, guys, we was in a H4 uptrend. I saw this bullish-ish candle, right? I like the bottom wick on this candle. And then basically, guys, I got a little bit of a retrace and I started buying in here, right? I put my stop just below here and then I took profit back up to here. Roughly got my 1:1 risk to reward, right? And I have closed this trade in 80% profit. Okay, I'm now letting 20% run. My stop loss or hedge, whatever you use, is still here. I haven't moved that, right? So this is a trade. I've taken some nice profit. Let's see how this plays out. And then I also took pound Swiss franc buys as well. But I took pound Swiss franc buys after I had taken profit here, right? Because obviously euro Swiss franc and pound Swiss franc are highly correlated, right? It's Swiss franc weakness. So as soon as I hit profit here, right, I went to pound Swiss franc, okay, and then we had this candle here form. Right. So again, I have, let's start with the daily chart first. So a similar scenario to euro Swiss franc. Let's start with the weekly chart, right? We can clearly see that there is a piece of support at this level, right? Again, if we go to the daily chart, right, things down here are highly overextended. Right? Look at the moving average 20. We are miles away from the moving average 20. That's a good indication if something is overextended or not, right? But not only this, guys, right? We then had, again, I'm just going through the same criteria as euro Swiss franc. We had a nice big bullish daily candle. And potentially we've got all this room to move into back up to this 1.1000 level. Right? So this is the trade we're looking at, okay? Very similar to euro Swiss franc. We drop down to the H4 chart and we're just looking for a H4 uptrend. And luck would have it, we're in an uptrend, right? We're getting higher lows, higher highs. We're clearly in an uptrend. Again, I had a nice bullish candle form. I entered in here, okay? Put my stop loss below here, give it a little bit of room, and you can see where my alarm is. That's where I'm looking to take my first TP. And again, I'll take some profit off here, maybe 80%, maybe 70, maybe 90, and then I'll let some profit run back up to this 1,000 level. All right, so yeah, because I took one trade after the other, I wasn't doubling up on risk, right? Euro Swiss franc hit target, took that, and then I bought pound Swiss franc. Now, currently, right, this H4 candle is not what we want to see, let's be honest, but we've still got another 50 minutes or so before this candle finishes, right? I want to start seeing some bottom wick on this. All right, so we'll see. But those are the trades I have taken and that I'm in. And as always, guys, right, if you want all of my trade ideas, I put them all in the VIP Discord. So if you haven't already, please come join our Discord channel, right? That's where we have our trading community. And then we also have the VIP Discord where you can see my euro Swiss franc trade, hit target, and I am currently in this pound Swiss franc trade as well. And we shall see how this plays out, right? So there you go, guys. Also in the VIP, you also get VIP strategies and tutorials. You can ask me questions if you're stuck on anything. So yeah, lots of value in the VIP Discord. Come join it. Right, guys, let's see who is in the house. Let's go to the live chat. Colin, how are you? Colin wants to look at CAD Japanese yen. Is there more room down or is it on the up now? Okay, so we'll take a look at CAD yen, Colin. Certainly we'll do that. Brett, hi, how are you? Mark, how are you? Godwin, where have you been? How are you? Mazamo, blessing. I like your name, Mazamo. I'm probably pronouncing it terribly. Hi, Tom. What do you think about Aussie dollar, US dollar, and New Zealand dollar, US dollar? Okay, let's take a look at those as well. Scott, how are you? Colin, nice trade on Euro Swiss franc. Thank you very much, Mr. Swiss. Yeah. And Luigi, hi, Tom. How are you? And everyone. We're all good, Luigi. Everyone is well. We're all marvelous. Okay, so let's start from the top then. So let's take a look at Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. And let's do a top-down approach, right? So as with a lot of these flight to safeties, right, we've just looked at Swiss franc pairs, and on the weekly chart, they were all at a very interesting support level, right? And it's the case with a lot of yen pairs, right? This is at a very interesting weekly support level, right? What will price do at this level? It's already reacted once bullishly, right? Will it do that again? Okay. Now let's look at the facts on the chart and make a decision, right? So we know we're in a downtrend, right? There's no getting away from that, right? We're clearly in this downtrend and this is where we're at. But we've found good support here. Could this be a double bottom and the start of an uptrend, right? The first thing to point out is this is not a buying candle. If anything, that is a selling candle, right? Look at the wick on it. Always makes me laugh when I say, look at the wick on it. Look at the wick on that, right? I'm a child, basically. But, right, that is selling. And sure enough, look at this red candle. But obviously, this is this week's candle. It hasn't finished forming. So nothing on the weekly chart telling me to buy this, other than we're at support. But there's no candle telling me to buy it. All right, but let's get some more information. Let's look at the day chart. Now, the day chart is an interesting one. And these blue lines here, you're probably thinking, what the hell's going on? I will explain those shortly. Now, as you can see, we were in an uptrend, right? And then price come back down, downtrend. And this is kind of where we're at, right? So we are still in a downtrend, okay? But again, you can see there's lots of buying pressure here. It's come down once. Look at that wick. Look at the wick on that, right? Look at this candle. Look at that candle. Look at this wick, right? Every time it comes down into this level, buyers take hold of the market, right? Now, yesterday's candle does not tell me that, right? That is just a selling candle. So I like this level in terms of potential buys. But again, nothing's telling me to buy this as yet, right? And yesterday's candle isn't either. And we also had worse than expected CPI figures yesterday on the Canadian dollar, right? So this has led to Canadian dollar weakness as well. Now, if we see this candle do something like this, right? And we end up with a nice big bullish daily candle, then okay, I would consider buying CAD yen. But until that happens, I'm not interested, right? And also, I know the H4 has, been breaking down. I was actually in a buy trade with Canadian dollar yen and got stopped out, right? Because I was seeing an uptrend, right? Higher lows, higher highs, and then price just becomes so contracted. That's what those blue lines represent. This is like a triangle or a wedge. You'll see this a lot in the market, right? And it's just basically price contraction. And then price has to go somewhere. It can't contract to infinity, right? Yeah, goes without saying. And it went on the back of that CPI data, it went down, right? So we're actually in a H4 downtrend, right? So even if we do get that bullish daily candle, right, that I spoke about, I would still want to see, some kind of H4 break, something like this to the upside for me to consider buying Canadian dollar yen. So it's not a sell trade right now, and it's not a buy trade. Yeah, we need something to tell us to buy out of this level. Nothing as yet. All right, Colin. So I hope that helps. And you're hedging out of a trade. Okay. All right. So yeah, I would just sit in that trade. There's nothing telling me to get out of it. Right. So I would just sit in the hedge. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. Also, guys, if you haven't already, please come join our wonderful trading community, right? We've got traders sharing knowledge, ideas. You can have a chit chat, so you're not alone when you trade. So come join our free Discord channel. Also, guys, if you want access to our premium trading education, if you want to improve as a trader, then please check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. On there, you'll find our complete Simply Forex trading course. You'll also have the mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one, and we have the VIP Discord trading community as well, guys. So check all that out. That's all on the website. And also, guys, today's live stream is brought to you by Blueberry Funded. Let's hear from them. Exciting news. Simply Forex has partnered with Blueberry Funded, a proprietary trading firm backed by a world-class award-winning broker, Blueberry Markets. So if you want to increase your trading capital without increasing risk, plus benefit from some of the best spreads in the prop firm industry, then Blueberry Funded is the prop firm for you. Their challenges are innovative and sustainable with regular payouts, and their customer service and cutting-edge technology create a seamless experience. For all of these reasons, you get access to a prop firm that truly understands traders' needs and provides the tools you need for success. Support Simply Forex and take your trading to the next level. Click the link in the description and sign up now. All right, guys. So yeah, check out that promotion, 20% off right now. Use the code above your head and use the link if you are looking to increase trading capital right now. Check it out. Right, we've got a few people now wanting to look at US dollar pairs. So Ali wants to look at pound US dollar, and we also had Mazamo wanting to look at Aussie dollar US dollar and New Zealand dollar US dollar. Okay, so let's take a look at US dollar as a whole. Also, let's say hello to Akshay. Hey, how are you? Mike, how are you? Good to have you here, guys. So let's start with one of the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollars, right? And if we just go to the weekly chart, right? Look at that. We want to sell, bang, no, we don't. All right, that sums up the US dollar perfectly for me. For the last 2 weeks, that's how it's been. Even before that, it was just choppy, crappy, shitty price action, right? Bang, bang, and it's just remained choppy. We just had a big move down on the back of Trump's tariffs when he first mentioned it. That's all, right? And then it's gone bang, bang. So the Aussie dollar, US dollar sums up US dollar at the moment, right? It's very whipsawy, right? And it's crappy price action, right? Now, for me to seriously consider a trade on Aussie dollar, US dollar, I want to see one of two things happen, right? I want to see a break of this level, right? So if we get this is from a weekly point of view. If we get a weekly candle that breaks through this level, happy days. I am happy to buy Aussie dollar, US dollar, and therefore trade US dollar weakness, right? The second scenario is this. If we get a big bearish candle at this level, right, I would consider selling, right? Because we are in a downtrend, right? There's no two ways about that. We are in a downtrend, right? And if we get a nice big bearish candle, something like this, I would consider selling Aussie dollar, US dollar, right? So that's just the view of the weekly, right? Now let's take a look at the day chart. I mean, look at that. Kerpow, right? Craziness. You don't see that often, a massive moves like that and then a massive correction. I'm just trying to go back and find one that, that it doesn't happen that quick, right? There's not one. I cannot see one, right? It just doesn't happen that quick. Okay. Anyway, back to current price action. Now, if we look at the day chart, this is also in a downtrend, right? That's where we're at. It hasn't broken these highs, right? And it hasn't broken this resistance level. So this is in a downtrend, right? Not that I want to sell that weekly candle, but I'm just stating the facts of the chart, right? That's what we deal in. We don't deal in make-believe, what you think will happen. The market doesn't care what you think, right? We deal in what does price action tell me? That's how I trade. There's no room for thinking, right? I'm just going to give you the facts, right? This is what I do to myself every day, right? I give myself the facts of the chart, right? And then I say to myself, do these facts warrant a buy or a sell, or should I stay out? That's my job every morning, right? And I enjoy it. Call me sad, but I bloody enjoy it. Right, so there we go, right? I'm going to deal in facts. We're in a downtrend. We have had a bearish-ish wick at this resistance level, right? We have, and such a big move, right? Can we expect a bit of a retrace at this level? I would say potentially yes, right? But I need the proof. So I need to see a nice big bearish candle, right? More bearish than this. And then I think potentially we have a sell trade, right? If today's candle finishes like this, then obviously we don't have a sell trade. You also have to consider, even if we did get a big bearish candle, right? Big, nice, big red candle, do you really want to sell into this candle, right? So there's a lot of contradictory information and everything's not pulling in the same direction, right? For me to take a trade, a high probability trade, I want everything pulling in the same direction. And this isn't, right? This is very whipsawy. So for me, it's a stay out. However, if I do get a big bearish candle, I may consider sells. All right. But this won't be until tomorrow, right? We need to see what today's candle does. And remember, we've got retail sales coming out. So that could, if it's a big miss or on the expectations, could do this, right? Or could do this. We shall see. But right now, there's no trade. And just looking at the daily candles, I'm assuming H4 structure hasn't broken, right? No, okay? So we're still in this H4 uptrend, right? But we're at resistance. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here, okay? Now, if I zoom in and we do get a break of H4 structure, right? And we get a break of this low here, then potentially this could be a good sell trade, right? We get the big bearish daily candle, we get a break of this low, right? Moving average 20, we're below moving average 20. I think we have room to the downside. So we shall see, guys. And obviously, New Zealand dollar, US dollar is going to be pretty much the same, right? If we look at the weekly, right, we've got this followed by that. But interestingly, look, this is breaking. Okay. Okay. So for me, it'll be very interesting to see how this weekly candle finishes, right? You could end up with a candle that looks like that. Let's draw that again. Sorry, guys, I've been drinking again. Helps with the trading. It doesn't. Don't ever drink and trade. That's terrible advice, right? But if we get a big bearish candle like that that closes back into these highs here, again, I would suggest a sell trade. If we get a candle that stays like that, I would suggest a buy trade, right? And the daily, again, look, we just had this bang, bang. Again, this one is interesting because it's in an uptrend, right? And it's broken this last high. This candle broke it, but we're at resistance. And again, look at this candle, right? I don't really want to buy into that candle, right? So again, there's no trade there, all right? And then, you know, a pound US dollar, right, is no different as well. If we look at the weekly chart, right, we know pound and the euro have been strong against the dollar, and we've seen this massive uptrend, right? This is where we're at. But when we saw this candle, I'm thinking, right, we can sell this back down to this level, and then we get this candle, right? So, you know, just when I see two candles like that, it just oozes uncertainty, right? There's just something going, you know, we know what it is, but it just says to me, if I, you know, buried my head in the sand and I knew nothing about the news, looking at those two candles, I'll be like, something's not right in the market. There is uncertainty, right? The market doesn't move like that, right? You know, it moves slowly, right? Even if you do get right, it's coming down, then you get a bullish candle, then it still takes time to come back down, get a little bit of indecision, comes back down, right? And so on. These little areas take time. This is like pound, right? It's just whipsaw in one direction, whipsaw in another. It's dangerous markets to trade that. So generally speaking, I've not had many US dollar trades, right? Thank you, Brett. I can see news in 2 minutes. So yeah, US dollar's a tricky one, guys. All right. So it'd be interesting to see, like I say, what this news does in a minute and a half. Yeah, so we've got retail sales coming out in just under a minute, guys. What we're going to do, we're going to play Guess the News game. I know it's very exciting. So we're going to go to the hourly chart and we're going to look at a few US dollar majors and we'll sort of try and predict what the news was. Let me have a look at pound Swiss franc. Okay, I need to see some buyers come in here. Maybe this is the, you know, maybe retail sales bring some buyers into this trade as well, or sellers, we shall see. All right, but keeping an eye on pound Swiss franc. I am in that trade. But let's keep an eye on the US dollar pairs. Has anyone got a good joke while we wait for 1 minute for the news? Anyone? Somebody must have a very bad good joke. The worse of the joke, the better. All my jokes are just filthy and disgusting, right? I can't really tell my jokes to anyone. Trying to think of a clean joke. I don't think I have one, to be honest with you. What else do you want to talk about, guys? Rory McIlroy. Did anyone watch the US Open? The Masters. That was brilliant golf, I must say. Although I am shit at golf. But yeah, well done, Rory McIlroy. Even if Rose won, I would have been happy. Right, guys, I'll stop waffling. News is coming out. Here we go. Okay, so the initial reaction is pretty non-existent. Thank you, editor. perfect comedy timing. Me and the editor are like the two Ronnies with our timing. Okay, so very not much happening, right? Let's have a look at another US dollar pair. Let's look at US dollar CAD. Okay, so this is suggesting US dollar weakness, right? CAD strength. Let's have a look at some flight to safeties. Okay, so US dollar. Okay, now not US dollar weakness. Okay, it's kind of all over the show. Let's go. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. It's making it very difficult for me to play guess the news game, I must say. I'm going to look at one more currency pair and then I'm going to make my prediction. I am going to say that one of the pieces of news was worse than expected. Let's take a look. Let's get some egg on my face. Okay, well, I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't right about the others. So you can see one is a bit of indecision here, guys, right? For the core retail sales, that was a little better than expected, right? For this piece of news, although it's less important, it was a little bit worse than expected. And this one was a little bit better than expected. So on the back of that, considering these two are 3-star ratings, we should be seeing some US dollar strength, really, off the back of that. So let's go back to Euro US dollar, absolutely nothing happening. And Aussie dollar US dollar, absolutely nothing happening. And pound US dollar, absolutely nothing happening. You're welcome. That's trading the news. That's how exciting it can be. Just nothing. So, yeah, there you go, guys. Very muted response to retail sales. Obviously, I just wanted to point this out, guys. If you are in any Canadian dollar trades later, we do have the interest rate decision. So that is big bad boy news. And crude oil inventories, really important for oil and therefore Canadian dollar as well. So Canadian dollar could be in for a bumpy ride later on. All right. But back to the charts, guys. Again, please don't be shy. Leave as many questions as you like about trading. I will answer all of them. Okay. So we've got Alex here. What about New Zealand dollar, US dollar? That one looks bearish. We looked at New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Okay, I would say it looks, the candle here looks bearish, right? But we are in a daily uptrend, right? But again, if we're in an uptrend, I don't want to start buying up here. I want to see a retrace into this level, perhaps moving average 20 comes round, then I'm interested in buying. But I'm only interested in buying if the weekly makes sense, right? But if we see a big weekly candle with a big wick like that, then again, not interested. You know, the dollar index, you've got to take a look at that. And this is just hovering around this 100 mark. So let's see what the end of this week looks like. If it holds on to this 100 level, I think there's room to the upside. I think we're getting US dollar strength. And I just said to you, don't use I think. Don't, right? Don't think. Trade what the chart is telling you. So if I see a big bullish green candle, right, something like this, I always draw a one with a wick, but your big bullish candle could look like that. If we get a big bullish candle, weekly candle that finishes like that, I think US dollar has room to the upside. But ultimately, still in a downtrend, right? Once it catches up with the moving average 20, we'll still be looking to sell, right? But any bullish reaction in here is short-term US dollar strength, right? Unless Trump opens his mouth and he can say anything and just destroy the US dollar, he can destroy markets, he can destroy world economies. Yeah, he is a wrecking ball. Yeah, so I agree, Alex. Alex is saying, I think we'll be seeing dollar strength soon. I do as, you know, like I said, if we get a bullish reaction in here, I think we can expect a bit of a dollar retrace in the short term, right? And I'll tell you what's really interesting in this is the monthly chart, right? Once this monthly candle finishes, right? If it holds on to this level, you know, US dollar is ultimately in a, you know, higher time frame uptrend. It is, right? Higher highs, these lows are holding. If we get a bullish reaction here, there's no reason why technically you couldn't take it back up to here, right? So we'll see. And also what's interesting with the dollar, right? You know, what does Trump want, right? Because, you know, say what you like, Trump can manipulate the market like that. If he wants low oil prices, right, for American people, he will say a few comments and he will get low oil prices, which he has, right? Oil fell off a cliff. He was like, we're going to start, you know, pumping oil. What was he saying? Pumping oil or something. I can't remember what he said, but he basically, you know, he was saying we need to have a word with Saudi about them dropping the oil price. Sure enough, oil dropped, right? He introduces the tariffs. He's like, we're going to see a bit of, you know, short to mid-term drops in the indices. Sure enough, you know, like he single-handedly controls all the markets. And he could make the dollar strong if he wanted to, right? But what does he want? Does he want a strong US dollar, right? Because you've got to think if the world is heading for more domestic distribution of products, right? These tariffs are going to put lots of costs on global trade, but domestic trade, it's not. And you might have more closer domestic partners, right? You know, so domestic, I don't know if that's the word, but domestic trade is going to become more important. Now, what does that mean for Trump? Does he want a strong dollar or does he want a weak dollar? Right? Because if they're making more in their country and then they want to sort of distribute more, they would generally want a weak dollar if you're going to export more. Right? You want to make your products more attractive to other countries or other trading partners. Right? Christ, I've never been so fundamental in all of my goddamn life. It's because of Trump. He makes you fundamental. Guys, what other questions have you got? Please don't be shy. Please leave a question in the live chat. Let's take a look at pound Swiss franc. Okay, let's take a look at the H4 chart. Right, I'm still in this trade. Got 20 minutes left. We want to see some buyers come into the market at this level. Let's see. And also, guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. Come join our trading community. Come join the free Discord channel. Also, if you want to improve as a trader, then please check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. And also, guys, if you want to increase capital as a trader, then please check out Blueberry Funded and their prop firm challenges right now. We can give you 20% off if you use the code above my head and our link, right? So no brainer, guys. If you're looking for a prop firm challenge that's backed by a broker, right, then check it out. Right, any more questions, guys? I'll tell you something that is a little bit interesting, right, is the indices, right? Because if you look at the FTSE, right, I really wanted to buy the FTSE today, right? FTSE 100, the UK index, right? Now, I would even say this has had a structure break, right? We come down here, right, and then bang, right? We've sort of broken these highs in here with yesterday's candle. And I still think this has room to move into the moving average 20, even this area of support and this 84,000 level, right? So FTSE, I want to buy, and this is the day chart, right? But if we look at the Dow Jones, for example, I wanted to sell it, right? Because we're in this, I'm going to say this, we're in this downtrend, and we're at this level of what was once support becomes resistance. And we actually have a bearish candle formed yesterday. So being at an area of resistance and the moving average 20 coming down, right? I think that's potentially a sell trade. But the FTSE was the opposite, right? And just generally speaking, guys, because I do dabble a little bit in stocks myself, right? There's no, there's more growth in FTSE and European and Asian stocks, right, compared with the US, right? So maybe that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing indices in other countries push on a little bit, right? But America and Trump and tariffs, still have that looming. Now, obviously, all indices have that looming, right? But some will fare a little better than others, right? So yeah, just wanted to share that, guys. Alex says here, it's shocking how one man has so much power to move the market like he is. It's not even 6 months and there's so much drama. It's reminding me of days of our lives and the bold and the beautiful. Alex, you're showing your age there. That's like Dynasty and Dallas. Yeah, who remembers them? I'm showing my age now. But yeah, honestly, it's like a economic sitcom. Right? What will the lead character do next? Oh, he's a bit of a character. You never know what he's going to do. Right? That's Trump. So yeah, answers on a postcard. What is Trump going to do next? Please send your postcards to Simply Forex Dubai. Right? Okay, 704 woman. How are you? I'm glad you could make it. What are your thoughts on the NAS? Okay, so we were talking about indices, but like the Dow Jones, the NAS is looking like a sell, right? Again, if we just follow the day chart, okay, this is where we're at, right? This is where we're at. And we're at a very important resistance level, right? Not only do we have horizontal resistance, we have this dynamic resistance in terms of the moving average 20, right? And ever since we've got there, we have had bearish candles. And we had a gap down today as well. So lots of things are suggesting, this wants to come lower, right? Now, on the day chart, I would look at this and say, okay, let's sell it, right? But I will always take a quick look at the weekly chart. And as we know, look at that weekly candle, right? Do you want to sell into that? And the answer is no, I don't, right? So that the indices are very difficult to trade because of these big whipsaws, right? But I just do not want to sell into that. Now, on that daily chart, it could come back down all the way back down to here, right? It could quite easily, especially with all these tariffs, right? But from a technical point of view, I don't want to be selling candles like this. Now, if we get a nice big, let's say the weekly candle finishes like this, right? Then okay, sellers are back, sellers mean business. We could perhaps take this back down to this level. But this week, no thank you, right? Not interested in selling into that. Yeah, so no trade on the NASDAQ there. Yeah, it's so much uncertainty about, guys, right? So tread carefully. And on that note, guys, Dominique Devereux was my hero. Okay. Who is Dominique Devereux? I've heard of this person. Who? You'll have to tell us in the comments. 70, yeah, let us know. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in for the live stream, guys. Really appreciate all of your time, all of your questions. Much appreciated. Please come join me same time again tomorrow, where I'll take all of your questions. We'll look at the live charts and we'll look through the trades that I've taken, guys. All right, see you tomorrow.